to the Honorable, His Excellency, Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi of the Islamic Republic of Iran. I say to you that no, the ball is not in the U.S.'s courts. The ball is not in Trump's court. Trump is a coward. He is weak. He is a terrorist. And right now, he's cornered. And he is trying to amass thousands of troops. They already have 50,000 troops and they want more. They already sent the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit from Okinawa. They already sent the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit from Camp Pendleton in California. They already sent thousands upon thousands of troops from the 82nd Airborne Division, ground troops, in all three deployments. Beyond that, of course, we know that they have tens of thousands of troops already in the region. Why would you agree to something for even but a second longer if you know that they are simply using this because they are weak, they are cowardly, they are terrorists, and they are cornered as they try to amass more troops and resupply more air defense interceptor missiles? The ball is in your court, not Trump's court. One of the last speeches that Ayatollah Khamenei, the martyred leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Iranian Revolution, one of the last main speeches, famous speeches that he gave, which was widely circulated in the English language, was a speech in which he said, negotiating with America is neither wise nor intelligent nor honorable. Why? Experience. There's a lot of Iranians right now who are sharing that quote and thinking back to those words and the fact that the blood of their martyred leader was spilled because he refused to capitulate. He refused to bend the knee. He refused to make a single concession. And he understood that ultimately, yes, negotiating with America, with Trump in particular, he refused to speak to Trump, refused to even, in direct channels, he refused to speak with Trump, right? This is something that a lot of Iranians are reflecting on right now. And I fully understand them reflecting on this. I think it was unwise. I do think it was not intelligent. I do think it was not really a great move to agree to the ceasefire that was presented by the United States. It's beyond clear now that there were absolutely zero preconditions that the ceasefire would actually be upheld in any meaningful way. Now, last night, if we had been doing a live stream last night, possibly, you could have looked at what had taken place and said, well, maybe, there's some agreements that have assured the Iranians that everything is going to be upheld. But clearly that was not the case. Last night, you could have looked at the ceasefire and you could have said, well, yes, the U.S. has, in fact, done all these negotiations and talks before, and the Iranians have gotten screwed over. Not just the Iranians, right? By the way, like you look at any of these countries, right? Venezuela, they kidnapped the president in the middle of these back and forth talks as the escalation was building and building. In the middle of talks with the Russian Federation, U.S. Special Services provided intelligence and logistical support for Operation Spiderweb by, Ukrainian drone operators to launch drone strikes on Russian nuclear bombers. And also they did, drone strikes on Putin's own residence, one of his residences. They launched 91 drones at while they were in the middle, of course, ongoing negotiations. So I say I fully agree with the martyr Ayatollah Khamenei. I do think it is simply neither wise, intelligent, or honorable to negotiate with the United States at a point when they have no real sincerity in the things that they're offering. I do think it's neither wise, intelligent, or honorable. But they did it. And now the Lebanese, and the Iranian people have to suffer the consequences. Ayatollah Khamenei was right. Yet again. And if you don't believe me, if you haven't been following the news over the last 24 hours, let's start here. We're going to talk about the Lebanon situation in a moment, but let's start here. An Israeli Hermes 900 drone was shot down over Iran today. The entry of an enemy American Zionist aircraft into the country's airspace, even without conducting military ops, is considered a violation of the ceasefire and will be met with a response. Now, you look at something like that. I know they presented some 10-point plan. Trump claims it's a 15-point plan. There's a disagreement over whether Shamkhani and the SNSC, the Supreme National Security Council, and the Iranian Foreign Ministry, whether their plans are the same, whether the English plan and the Farsi plan are the same. I know, we're going to get into that. But do you not agree that the most, at a bare minimum, if anything, out of the 10 or 15 or 9 or 8 points in these plans that should be upheld in a ceasefire is that there will be no aircraft, no enemy aircraft that enter into Iranian airspace. We didn't even see that after the 12-day war, but they're doing it now. Well, clearly this was a ruse. We're going to discuss why it was a ruse. Trump, of course, and the Pakistani mediators had initially agreed that, yes, Lebanon was part of the deal. This was point number one in the Iranian proposal, that any deal must be permanent and must, in fact, be a regional deal. That's point number one. It must include the conflict in Lebanon. A ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire there. Permanent cessation of hostile aggression against the Lebanese people. Point number one. And today, of course, we saw, and we're going to be talking about in another story, the brutal aggression by the terrorists. This is just rank terrorism we are witnessing, still ongoing, by the way, against the people of Lebanon, the people of Tyre, the people of Beirut, the people of Al-Dahia, the people of Bin Jabal, the people of countless other villages that have been bombed today, the first day of the ceasefire. Yes, it's neither wise, intelligent, or honorable to negotiate with the U.S. when they are not in any way, shape, or form clear or serious or sincere and actually fulfilling the promises that they claim to be making. Of course, not too long after these strikes took place, Trump himself came out and said, well, Lebanon is not included in the deal because of Hezbollah. Yeah, but the conflict is with them. What do you mean they're not? What do you mean? What do you mean? Was Hezbollah in the hospitals in the Red Crescent vehicles that were bombed today? Was Hezbollah in the residential suburbs that were bombed all across the country today? Was Hezbollah in the cemetery that was bombed today, where a funeral procession was taking place? Was Hezbollah on the last bridge that connects the north of Lebanon to the south across the Litani River? Was Hezbollah there too? No. In fact, they know that Hezbollah wasn't there. It was the Lebanese armed forces, and they told them to evacuate. They said, hey, we're going to bomb the last bridge connecting the north with the south of Lebanon, and then we're going to ethnically cleanse the south, or they're going to try to. I can't imagine this is going to go any better for them than the last time they tried to occupy Lebanon. In fact, I know it's going to go worse. The Iranians came out with several statements. They said, in one, less than 24 hours after agreeing to the ceasefire, largely out of respect for our Pakistani brothers who were mediating, Israel has already violated it, and Trump has begun to twist his words and backtrack on his promises. Now, how is Trump twisting words and backtracking on promises? Well, Lebanon, of course, is one of them, right? Iran told mediators that Islamabad meeting would be canceled without a Lebanon ceasefire. Moments later, Israel launched more strikes on Lebanon. The strikes took place all throughout the day. Iranian media says no official in Iran trusts America or Trump. Nobody. Well, why agree to the ceasefire? Why agree to a two-week ceasefire in which the U.S. is going to send thousands of more Marine personnel, thousands of more ground forces, which, by the way, the White House just confirmed that they're in the process of doing. The United States has more than 50,000 troops deployed across the Middle East, with numbers continuing to rise. We're increasing our deployment of Marines and ground forces to the region. Why agree to a ceasefire when we know that they're running out of interceptor missiles for their air defense systems? Now, Trump's original agreement here, I'm not going to read the full thing, but he did say, you can see right here, he said, we received a 10-point proposal. Okay, we did receive a 10-point proposal from the Iranians and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran. Well, okay, so Lebanon, the number one point, you clearly didn't agree to that. Other points like, respecting Iranian soil and airspace, that wasn't agreed to. That seems like a non-starter to me. And if you read this, I mean, he basically just says like, yeah, we got your proposal and maybe we'll kind of take a look at it in 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks, maybe we'll look at it. We're not going to really agree to anything, but maybe we'll look at it. I don't know. Maybe. This all seems very odd to me. Now, Trump did repost the statement of Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. Okay. In this statement, he discusses the fact that there's a 10-point proposal as a basis for negotiation. So there was no misconceptions. They understood that the 10 points weren't agreed to, just that moment or anything like that. They understood that. But the U.S. officials are now saying that they're sending thousands of more Marines and ground forces to the region. And we do have a little bit of confusion in the press as to what the 10 points actually are. In fact, we don't know what the 10 points are. Conservative hardline media in Iran is like, hey, why doesn't the foreign ministry, why doesn't the Supreme National Security Council release the list of the 10 points that were actually submitted to the United States? Good question. Now, according to the English reporting that we have regarding the 10 points, we have 8 of the points: commitment to non-aggression, continued Iranian control over the Strait of Hormuz, acceptance of uranium enrichment, lifting of all primary and secondary sanctions, termination of all resolutions of the UN Security Council and the IAEA Board of Governors regarding the uranium enrichment and whatnot, payments of compensation for Iran, withdrawal of American combat forces from the region, cessation of war on all fronts. Okay, that's pretty simple. That's what I've seen repeated over and over and over and over again. But then Trump came out today and he said something weird. Trump claims Iran will not be allowed to conduct any uranium enrichment. Okay, it's over. Right? That second, Iranian Foreign Ministry, Supreme National Security Council should release a statement saying, okay, it's over. He also demanded Iran allow the U.S. to remove all enriched uranium from the country. Now, if you sit back and think to yourself, well, that just sounds like Trump's making something up, I will point you to this. The Associated Press reports that Iran's Farsi version of the 10-point ceasefire plan includes acceptance of enrichment for its nuclear program, a phrase missing from the English version shared with journalists. The reason for the discrepancy is unclear. That's weird. So the Farsi plan, which is being read by the Iranian public, says that Iranian enrichment, nuclear uranium enrichment must be allowed, but the English version does not include that. That's weird. Why? Why is the Associated Press reporting that there's a discrepancy? That's weird. Netanyahu comes out and says that Iran's highly enriched uranium will either leave Iran by agreement or with the resumption of a war. He's very clear about that. Now, moments ago, Foreign Minister Araghchi came out and said that the Iran-U.S. ceasefire terms are clear and explicit. The U.S. must choose ceasefire or continued war via Israel. It cannot have both. The world sees the massacres in Lebanon. The ball is in the U.S. courts, and the world is watching whether it will act on its commitments. To the Honorable, His Excellency, Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I say to you that no, the ball is not in the U.S.'s courts. The ball is not in Trump's court. Trump is a coward. He is weak. He is a terrorist. And right now, he's cornered. And he is trying to amass thousands of troops. They already have 50,000 troops and they want more. They already sent the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit from Okinawa. They already sent the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit from Camp Pendleton in California. They already sent thousands upon thousands of troops from the 82nd Airborne Division, ground troops, in all 3 deployments. Beyond that, of course, we know that they have tens of thousands of troops already in the region. Why? Why would you agree to something for even but a second longer? Why would you uphold something for even 1 second longer if you know that they are simply using this because they are weak, they are cowardly, they are terrorists, and they are cornered as they try to amass more troops and resupply more air defense interceptor missiles? The ball is in your court, not Trump's court. This has been echoed by Ali Al-Azada and many Iranians online. We'll discuss that in a second. Trump claims that Iran has gone through a very productive regime change. It's unclear what he means by that. Trump also announced today that any country supplying weapons to Iran will face 50% tariffs on all goods sold to the United States, no exemptions. Ask yourself, why would he do something like that unless they're planning another round of escalation against Iran? I mean, that should have been the first red flag. This was before the strikes on Lebanon that he came out and said this. Should have been a glowing red flag. The Russians seem to understand what's going on. They said, these conditions will not be accepted. It seems that Trump is simply trying to open the Strait of Hormuz for a sufficient period while he assembles additional forces. Yeah, that's it. That's literally it. And the fact that anyone in the Iranian political leadership is trying to make this out to be something like, oh, Trump, we need you to do the right thing. And we know you really want to do the right thing, but it's, we need you. It's like, no. Read the sign. This is what's happening. Wake up. Wake up. Now, someone who does appear to be now waking up, I would add that these statements came out far too many hours too late. But nonetheless, I do have to share this with you because it vindicates everything that I've been thinking all day. Iran's Ghalibaf put out this statement. He said, statement on the violation of 3 key clauses of the 10-point proposal. Again, Ghalibaf is the man who is expected to be leading the Iranian side of the delegation in Islamabad, Pakistan on Friday, assuming that these talks actually take place. The deep historical distrust we hold toward the United States stems from its repeated violations of all forms of commitments, a pattern that has regrettably been repeated once again. As the president of the U.S. has clearly stated in his truth, the Islamic Republic of Iran's 10-point proposal is a workable basis on which to negotiate, and the main framework for these talks. However, 3 clauses of this proposal have been violated thus far. 1, non-compliance with the first clause. The strikes on Lebanon. I mean, that's obvious. 2, the entry of an intruding drone into Iranian airspace. Also obvious. 3, now this is where I think this statement is very, very important and powerful. Because, again, I do have questions about why English media is receiving 10-point plans that do not include the statement on uranium enrichment being allowed in Iran, whereas Farsi media is. I do have questions about that. Also, I have not seen a full 10-point plan. They have not released a full 10-point plan. So they're releasing different parts to different media outlets. It's very odd. I don't know why. Just release the full thing. Number 3, denial of Iran's right to enrichment, which was included in the 6th clause of the framework. Now, the last 2 sentences are the most important. Ghalibaf says, now, the very workable basis on which to negotiate, those are Trump's words, has been openly and clearly violated, even before the negotiations began. In such a situation, a bilateral ceasefire or negotiations is unreasonable. and untenable and probably is dead. I'd imagine that's supposed to be the gist of what we get from this statement, right? The ceasefire is, in fact, dead. Who killed it? The U.S., the Israelis. Oh, yeah, I mean, what do you want me to say? I could just be stupid. I could be neither intelligent, wise, or honorable, and I could just tell you it's the U.S. and Israel as to why this has collapsed. But frankly, I have to be quite honest with you. I do have to be quite honest with you. This never should have happened in the first place. If Iran wants a ceasefire, if they want a permanent end to this conflict, if they want a regional deal, if they want uranium enrichment, if they want a cessation of all hostilities permanently, if they want a new regime covering the Strait of Hormuz, if they want all of the things and more that they asked for in this deal, but most importantly, the bare minimums, right? You can't play by their timeline. You can't expect to play by their timeline, act upon their demands. You just can't do it. You can't do it. You can't assume in good faith that these people are going to act in good faith toward you. You can't. And if you do, it's not wise, intelligent, or honorable. It's not honorable to all the Iranians that have lost their lives. It's not honorable to those in Lebanon that have joined the cause and sacrificed their lives. It's not honorable to the women and men who volunteered and went out yesterday and formed human chains on bridges and around critical infrastructure and oil and gas infrastructure in Iran yesterday against the advice of the Iranian government, who told them to stay home and were willing to put their bodies on the line to safeguard the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's not wise, intelligent, or honorable to the 14 million plus Iranians who signed away their lives in martyrdom registration in the case of an invasion of their country, and if in fact their government called upon them to serve their country in military combat. That's the truth. Before you leave, I want to say thank you for the support, because after 2 years of being banned, we are finally back home on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and also join as a member on our channel using the link at the top of the description. I rely on the generous support of viewers like yourself to get the truth out to as many people as possible. You can also support the show on Locals or GiveSendGo. The mainstream media and the powers that be are never going to stop attacking us for bringing the truth to as many people as we do. Thank you so much for your support.